All right, my name is Tanner Ross Gregory. I am Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is not a name, it just means the Messiah translated. Today is June the 9th, 2026. Today I'm going to attempt to prove to you that I'm Jesus Christ, as well as each of these key points listed above. All right, so the commands of Moses for people to stone each other to death for various acts such as prostitution or homosexuality, that was a bargain with our primitive urges of violence, that we would more readily adhere to a more ideal form of government, okay? Jesus Christ's crucifixion was a means by which we were subdued in our willingness to continue proceeding with those violent commands, all right? So in other words, we had evolved past the point of those commands' usefulness. I see what happened to Jesus. I cannot bring myself to do that any longer, all right? Jesus Christ put forward some commands on marriage. Those were a bargain with our primitive urges of sexual dominion, that we would more readily adhere to a more ideal form of government, all right? So in other words, I get to say this woman is my sexual property, I get to say this man is my sexual property. In exchange, I will more readily adhere to what you have to say about the government, all right? So what they did to me as Jesus Christ, in order to subdue you in your willingness to continue proceeding with those commands, is that they programmed me to become obsessed with this woman, made me see her having sex with all these different people for weeks on end, made me see her getting raped, then had me running around yelling at people for what they made me see them do, okay? So that's why they call me the beast. It's like two rams butting their heads together to assert sexual dominion, okay? So on December the 4th and December the 15th of 2020, I was made to see two separate women pregnant with my son from having had sex with different men. So the date falling directly in between these dates is December the 10th of 2020. However, because the women were already pregnant when they were revealed to me, and because a woman has her period once a month, and if she misses her period, then she's pregnant, then the date that we're concerned with is November the 10th of 2020. In the book of Revelation, it says that the dragon was waiting to consume the child the moment that he was born, who would rule all the world with an iron scepter, but that the archangel Michael took the woman and the baby into the wilderness to be kept safe for 1,260 days. All right, so 9 months from November the 10th of 2020 is August the 10th of 2021, and 1,260 days from August the 10th of 2021 is Inauguration Day of 2024, all right, so the dragon represents necessary evil. It had already been explained to me during my crucifixion stage, and it's cataloged with the events of my crucifixion, that the dragon represents necessary evil. But the reason that they're saying that the dragon represents necessary evil in this situation is because they're saying it would be a form of necessary evil to kill my son before he could inherit all of the power that I will receive to rule over this world as king. Okay, they actually did have me anoint my head with oil during the crucifixion stage, so at some point I will be king. They're not just going to rule over you as king or anything like that. So myself and the alien intelligence worked for a period of a year to a year and a half, developing an elaborate libertarian constitution. It's like 500 to 700 pages long. And so effectively what I'm going to be doing is arriving in a position of power long enough to set that into authority over you and then just being finished. And so that's what that means, all right? But the 1,260 days sounds like a countdown, so you might be asking yourself, what is this a countdown to? All right, so in the book of Revelation, it says that the Gentiles were allowed to march on the holy city for 42 months, but they've been assigned to the outer court. The first beast rules for 42 months, followed by the false prophet who makes miracles of fire come out of the sky in full view of all the people. So what does it mean? It means there's a group of people who's allowed to be here for these 42 months. Afterward, they must leave, and if they refuse to leave, then they will be killed with airstrikes, okay? And so what it means is that anyone who is not Caucasian must leave the United States, and if they refuse to leave, then they will be killed. All right, and so the reason that they're doing this is because they definitely did guide the Caucasian people's evolution. The only reason that we could have white skin like this is because we were kept in the polar regions where it's cold and dark all the time, and so we just naturally have evolved an adaptation where we more readily adhere to effective systems of government, okay? And so that doesn't mean we could put it together ourselves, but just point us in the right direction and, we'll figure it out. There as well as a prophecy that has to do with using nuclear weapons on California. Obviously, it would not be practical to use airstrikes as the state is 80% Mexican. However, they are claiming as well divine retribution for child sex trafficking in the case of using nuclear weapons on California. In addition to this, there is a prophecy that has to do with placing the police in jail. However, I'm trying to make my videos a little bit shorter, so I'm not going to go into all those details on those two prophecies with you right now.